Welcome. This is going to be our final video on Project 5, the Cupcake file. And this is where we're actually creating online forms. They're really very, very easy to do. Basically, Dreamweaver does everything for you. So let's begin. On page 240, basically all we need to do is start by creating a form element. So I'm on number 1. I will go over server-side processing in another video at a later time, just so you understand. We're not going to be actually processing these forms, but what normally happens is the form gets sent to a server, and that actually does all the processing of the data that's sent to it in there. But that has to be programmed as well. That's actually not in the forms. So I'm going to open up the Join the HTML Club, and you see we have this Join a Sassy Club over here. Really exciting. I'm in live view. If I click, if I'm in design view here, you'll see that there is a page content editable region that allows us to do that in here. So you can actually work in design view or live view. It really doesn't matter. You can actually do it from both. We'll do it from design view over here. So what I'm going to do here is it wants us to select a paragraph where it says, give us a name, birthday, month, and all that other stuff. So I'm going to do over here, I'm going to click over here, and I'm actually selecting the paragraph, and then we're going to put into the action, we're going to create a new one. So the way I do it is I select it first, then I'm going to click here, and I always go into code view first to make sure that I'm where I need to be. So I'm going to delete this here so I can show you how when you enter a new paragraph, it will create that for you. So I'm over here. I hit the enter key. Let's go back to code and notice that it's there. The non-breaking space is there. So that's very easy. So the next thing we're going to do is click on the insert. Now, since I've already done it, it says form. You're probably going to see HTML over here. And if you look for it, insert a form, you'll be looking for it a long time. It actually does say that in number 2, but who reads everything that they say? It says open the insert panel and click on the form button. So if you're like everybody else, you probably missed the part that says show the form options. So I'm showing you right here. Just click on this. And we're going to click on form options. And this is actually a form. You can see all the different things that are available for you. We're going to be doing text and email and password. You could do telephone and a whole bunch of other things in here. Text area is a good thing to do. We obviously need a submit and reset button. Hidden is something that is used to put information into fields that the user doesn't see. Select is the drop down button that you click on and it gives you a bunch of choices. You have to choose one. Then radio button is the one where it's either on or off, and the radio button group is one where you can select one. If something else is selected, it will be like, for instance, male or female. Well, you can't be both. So if you're male, you have to have female unselected. So you click on the female, obviously, if you're female, and the male is deselected. Checkbox is either got to check in or not in the checkbox groups, allows you to do a whole bunch of checking in there. So we'll just leave that. And the label is just basically text on there. So I'm going to click over here, and the book tells you to drag. So you can drag, or if you don't feel like dragging, just click. And it actually puts a little red form here. So you can see it's a form because it's red. I could have taken it and dragged it. As long as you click there first, you're fine. So now we have the form on number 5. We're going to change the properties panel, and we're going to type in register for the ID. And that takes care of that. And then we're going to type mail to in the action field. Okay, the action normally is a URL or a web page that it goes to do the processing. So here we're going to do mail to, and then the actual email address. So it's info at SASSY, cupcakes, spelling does not count because I'm not looking, .atc in the action field. Hit the enter key, and we can leave everything else at their default values. I'm not going to explain what they all are at this point in time. So we're going to save the file and go to the next exercise. Remember, save early and often. I will go back over in a separate video and explain form ID, action, class, method, default, get, post, and so on, as well as some other things in another page. So now we're going to create text fields, which is nothing more than a text box. So you're going to actually input information in there, such as your name. So I'm going to drag it this time instead of clicking. The rest of the time, I'll probably just click. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to drag. Make sure you drag inside the form. And notice it says text field. This is the field. Let's go into code view, and you can see you have the form over here, and this is the end of the form. Then what you have is a label for text field, and then text field, and then the actual text field name itself. So let's go in there and change that. So we're going to click on this here, and it says text field, and it wants us to change it to first name. And they want it to be required because obviously you need name. And then we're going to change the text field name because it doesn't make sense to say text field. User's not going to have any clue what it wants. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to do it in code view just to make sure. So I'm just going to put in here, and I'm leaving a colon, and I'm going to put first name. Go back to design, and you can see what that looks like. Now I'm going to click over here, and that was 4 and number 5 and number 6. So now we're going to do the same thing. Then number 7 was click after it. Number 8 was hit the enter key. By the way, make sure that you're after the actual text box before you hit the enter key. So we have it here. Insert another text field at the insertion point using last name. So I'm just going to click here. That put it in here. So we'll call this last name. We'll just make it all lowercase. Then we'll go into the field here. And again, I really want to make sure that I'm selecting the right thing and not leaving any extra stuff. So I do it in code view, last name. I'm leaving the colon. Go back in here. And you could have just as easily done that. Do not select the label and change it from there, because what will happen is it's selected, and as soon as you start typing in last name, it will delete the whole label. And all you'll see is last name. So bear that in mind. That's one of the reasons why I keep saying go back to code view. That really is the safest way to do it. Yeah, it's kind of a pain, but boom. All right, so now we are going to create a new paragraph by and insert another text field called company as a field name. We're not going to make this field required as a label text. We're going to type company name, required if you want to enter the monthly drawing for free office cupcakes. Well, I'm not really sure what an office cupcake is, but hey, we want to get them if we can. So we're going to create a text field, and we're going to call it company. And then we're going to type that ridiculously long amount of text. So I'm going to select it over here. And I'm going to turn my phone on violent because I'm getting a call. And let's go back, so forgive me for that. So let's just type in company name. And then we'll put in parentheses, required if you want to enter the monthly drawing for free office cupcakes. Okay, how exciting, and I can't spell, but I got it over there. All right, so we have that done. Then we're going to create a new paragraph. Make sure that you click after this here. And we're going to do an email button. So email is exactly the same thing. And we're going to leave this as email, or you can put email address if you want, or enter your email. That really doesn't matter. So in here, for the name, we really don't have to change anything. The only reason you might have to change this is if you had more than one email. Some companies make you verify your email address or put in a second email, so you can change the name over there. And in the property fields, we're going to make the field required. And it tells us to delete the colon after the label text. If you're going to ask me why it says to do that, I don't know, and I don't care. Now we're going to create a password field. So we'll click on password. Now notice I got that little sign that says you can't enter anything. If you do, just click and then enter it. So now we have password in here, and we're going to make the field required. That takes care of that. When a user enters password, it's either dots, mostly dots or stars. So that doesn't actually type the password in here. So that took care of that. Save the file. And now we're going to create a menu field, which is the select field that I was telling you about. Common menu fields are states, days of the week, years, things of that nature. Very easy. So we're going to type in, when were you born? And actually, instead of saying when you were born, since they're going to ask for months, it would make more sense if it actually said, what month were you born? But hey, I didn't write the book, so we can change that later on. I'm going to make some comments times to tell you how I would do it. For your site, I would suggest that you do the way I tell you to do it. And the reason is because I'm telling you to do it is because I feel that's the right way. And obviously, if it's the right way, then that's the way you should do it. Doing it the right way should get you a better grade, hopefully. But I know that you'll probably do it all perfectly anyway, so that's good. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to change, let's go when were you born. We're going to change it to birthday in the field here. So we actually need to create a select in here, which I did not do. So it's going to create select here, which is down here somewhere. And let's see what we have here in code. When were you born? Label for select. So let's put label when were you born in the label for select. So by me doing things like this, it's always good because it gives you a way that if something you have done doesn't work out, it gives you an idea what you can look for to fix it up. So we did number 11, we did number 12, 13, 14, and 1, 2, and 3. Number 4 is we're going to change the field to birthday. So let's click in here. And the name is select. So let's make it birthday. That takes care of that. So now what we need to do is put in the actual options. And those are the list values. Now, I'm going to tell you something I don't like about this. You'll see that in number 10 over here. We're going to start off with the first one is January. There's two things I don't like. So we have January, and it wants to value Jan. I personally think these values should be numeric because we associate January as the first month of the year. But instead of putting the value with Jan, we should put January. We should put 1. What that means is when this item is selected, it returns a value of JAN. I think it's just better to return a value of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. However, we're going to do it because the book tells us to do it. So then we're going to set up February and FEB. Now remember, another good thing is you never have to worry about accidentally typing capital FEB because FEB is not the same as capital FEB, but 2 is 2. So then we're going to do the rest of the months, which is March, MAR, April, APR, May, MAY, June, JUN, July, JUL, and I spelled that wrong. So I'm not going to correct it here. I'm going to show you how to correct it in CodeView. Yes, I can go right here and correct it here, but I'm not going to. And August, AUG, September, SEP, November, NOV, and December, DEC. Then it wants us to type something called select. We just put SELECT and no space. So we'll leave that there, blank. Now I'm going to click on OK. And you have these little values down here. So let's go into CodeView. And you can see what it did was it gave you the option value there and the text. So anything that you need to change, you could change right here. The other thing I don't like is I feel the select should be the very first option. You do not have to do this, but I'm going to change it. And I'm going to do it right here. Boom. And we'll save it. We'll go here. Let's go into design view, rather live view, and we click to select. I just think that makes more sense. And I'm missing the hyphen after it, so that's not a problem. We'll go here. We have the list values, and I'll just put in the other dash or hyphen, and that takes care of that. So see how easy it is to make changes. So that was all the way up to 16. Then we're going to create a checkbox. Now the checkbox is not going to work at first, but after they start putting in all the fancy CSS, which I'm not opposed to the way they're doing it, but it's not the way I would do it. I will discuss that later on, how I would have done it. But we're going to do this from the book. I think that just makes it easier if you follow the book because there's just too much to learn in too short of a time. So we have individual checkboxes have either an on or off state and a commonly indicate agreement to something. So what we want to do is with the join have open at the create new paragraph before the label of the first text field, which is first thing. So to make sure that we do it before it and we are inside the form, we're going to go into code view. And here's the label, and we want to be it before the first P. Go in to live. Finally decided to let me over here, and I'm going to hit, let's go back into code view, make sure where we're supposed to be. And I'm going to hit the enter key. All right. So we go back in there, and it should have put in a blank thing. Perfect. That's what we want over here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put a checkbox in there. So I'm here, and I'll find checkbox. I'll click, and there's my checkbox. And then for my text, right over here, it wants us to type, yes, I want to join the Sassy Club. So we'll go here. It's only one word, so we don't have to worry about it. Put yes, I want to join the Sassy Club. Don't know what the Sassy Club is, but I can't live another day unless I join it. And in the field here, it wants us to put agree. That takes care of that. Make sure that you read underneath number 4. It talks about the properties of the checks, backs, and the value. Very similar to what the select is. So let's save it again. Pretty much save after every page. So now we're going to add submit and reset buttons. So what we need to do is we need to be over here, and we're just going to click a submit button and a reset button. For the submit button, it wants us to put in the value, sign me up. Oh, and even get a exclamation point. And we could just leave reset alone. Now, one of the things that's going to happen is the space is going to disappear between here, but we can fix that with padding and or margin. So we have the reset button is there when we're going to save the file and go to the next exercise. You can review these things over here. It talks about autocomplete, autofocus, disable, form list, max length, and all the things on page 250 and 251. I'm going to, again, address that in a separate video. So let's move on to page 253. We're actually going to do some CSS. So basically, we have the form tag and we have ImTech tag. So what we're going to do is we're going to modify the way the input tags are going to look over here. And it talks about what each one does. Input is text, select is drop down, label is text that identifies what you're going to do. So what we want to do is we want to select the label for the checkbox, which should be this. Or we can click on the label here. That should take care of it. And we want to click in the CSS Designer, and we're going to just use current. So here's the CSS Designer, and we're clicking on current, and it shows you everything that's affected by it. So you can see the right column P here. I'll click on the Sochet, and you can see what's actually affected there, and which is not a whole heck of a lot. So that was number 3. Number 4, we're going to click the P tag selector to do the entire paragraph over here, which is this. And then we're going to change it to an H1 heading in there. Now, that has good things and bad things because then the checkbox is also inside the heading. So let's go in here and you can see that's in there. But again, I don't want to deviate too much from what the book says. I'll show you different alternatives on the way to do things. All right, so we're going to change it to heading 2, and you can see exactly what's going to happen. Heading 2, and boom. So we click over here. And it did not do what it's supposed to do, which is depressing. So, but it won't affect it at this point in time because it's supposed to have a blue over here and a little thing over here. I'll have to go back and see what happened. I've done this before, so I may have made a change on something there, but that will not affect anything that we're doing. Then I'll go back and fix that over here. So we'll take that later on. We're going to change the width to 100%, margin bottom 10 float left, and clear both. So we have this over here. And let's see, we're going to add an input. So we have input. And for the properties, we want width 100%. So you can see how it does, and it messes this up, but that's not that big of a deal. It will fix that later on. And then we want margin bottom 10%. Then we want float left. And we want clear both, which is this. Not this, that's no clear. That takes care of that. Then we're going to create another tag called label. And you can see that that will affect all of our labels over here. So we want width, float, and clear both. So let's create a new selector called label. And we want width 100%. We want float left. And we want clear both. That takes care of that. So now you can see how that's affected there. Not really sure I agree with it. I would have given them different widths and set some margins up, but that's okay. So we can live with that right over here. So now we're going to create a class called noClear. Remember, a class begins with a period. So we're going to just type no clear. And that's going to be width is going to be auto and clear is going to be none. So we'll go to the width here and we'll choose auto. And then the clear will be none. As soon as we find clear, which is right there. Boom. And that takes care of that. In design view, click the checkbox object at the top of the form. Use the element to add the no clear. Here's our checkbox. We're going to use no clear. And boom, it went to the left. That's what we wanted. Then we're going to do the same thing to the no clear for the checkbox label text, which is here. Okay. Then we're going to do the label of the select element. So here's the label of the select element, which is here. And that should make the select appear to the right of it.